YouTube today because I'm uploading my new vlog as we speak. It's uploading. It's cooking. It's 50% done. It's huge. I've decided that bigger is better when it comes to vlogs. For a little while, I was trying to kind of do shorter vlogs, half hour. My last one was 13 minutes. But there's a special place in my heart for the long vlog. The hour 15, hour 30, hour 45. The 2 hour, the 3 hour, the 5 hour. 2019. Check out my 2019 vlog, people. Are you listening? Are you out there watching? And this is like I think I'm streaming on YouTube Shorts. That was part of my intention with this. What was this? No, I don't need. Oh, I can green screen myself into something. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Wow, am I live? Okay, we'll allow it. We'll allow it. Can I move that around or anything? I need to get that Huey Lewis face in there. I was seeing some, see, I can pipe into different backgrounds here. That's pretty exciting. What else have we got? This is my music, YouTube music. I don't have that many. Let's go with that for now. That's way better than my typical presentation, I guess. Pretty cool, really. What's this do? Okay, highlight. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. And then there's this wand. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so check out, I mean, I don't know if the people like the longer vlogs. But who gives a damn? Well, I don't know. I mean, I get, so I get all these analytics with my YouTube. It told me my viewing hours are down 80. I'm down 80 viewing hours this month compared to my average. I've had 80 less viewing hours from the public. And, excuse me. I'm kind of fine with that. Because what is the point, ultimately? I saw somebody posted on a YouTube Reddit their channel stats, they were like how to blow up on YouTube, and their advice for how to blow up on YouTube. And it's all about the thumbnails and the descriptions. That's what's so stupid about it. It's like as long as your thumbnail and your description is good. But, I mean, I guess it makes sense. What the hell else do people have to go by? I'd like to believe my titles are evocative enough. And I generally just let YouTube auto-thumb. If the thumbnails are so goddamn important, why doesn't YouTube just AI generate the best fucking thumbnail it could? Let me see, let me just see what this looks like here. See if I'm going to turn it on here. Maybe if I like it. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're looking good there. Alright, not bad. We got the Huey Lewis in there. Maybe I'll start to play around with different backgrounds and stuff. So anyway, this person had like, I don't even know, thousands of hours of people watching. And, millions of clicks. And, like, his total monetization, the amount of money that they had made from their videos was $149. It's just, these startups, these tech companies get so rich off of the quote-unquote content. I mean, the content is everything, to be honest. The internet just became content. There's not really, I mean, even journalism is like content. Every kind of media has been kind of like ground up and spewed into this kind of paste of like content. It's like if it's journalism, if it's an ebook, if it's a TikTok video, if it's a stream, if it's a fucking vlog, if it's, a Mike Nichols film, if it's My Dinner with Andre, it's all just content. So, but it's amazing just how little it's worth, like, it's millions of views, you get $149. It's like, Jesus Christ. I guess, the idea is once you get an audience online, you figure out how to make money another way. You never make money just how you're making money. It's like you got to pay taxes, you got to pay, you got to buy your uniform, you got to pay back to the fucking. It's like with YouTube, it's like you never make money just from like kicking ass on the fucking videos. It's like, no, you got to siphon people into your Substack or your online store, sell merch, sell t-shirts, sell hats, whatever the fuck it is. I've been watching, so one thing I do want to talk about, I've been watching these YouTube interviews with this guy, Matt Gazda. I want to talk about that a little bit. Well, because I've been trying to watch these plays on YouTube. That's kind of my new thing. Speaking of content, I mean, the YouTube homepage is just pathetic. Considering there's got to be billions of hours of quote-unquote content on YouTube. It's just unbelievable, like the poverty of what they do show you. I mean, my YouTube homepage right now, I'm watching Kevin Nealon Hiking with Kevin, which I like, but, like, it's not necessarily my... Okay, I've got... let's go ahead and look at this. Oh, you're not going to be able to see it because Huey Lewis is in the way. Breakfast Club, Power 105, Bill Burr on the problem with billionaires, fake wokeness, Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. I've got Hassan Abi, conservatives are going insane at town halls. Ezra Klein on Doomscroll with Josh Citarella. The Incoherent Sexual Politics of the Right by Matt Bernstein, 367,000 views. That's like a video essay by like a gay guy. I've got it's Hassan Piker, Trump news shit, a bunch of news stuff, the Majority Report. It's like, it's basically all fucking, like, news stuff. Which, I am trying to, like, constantly keep track of, like, the fucking world situation and shit in the news, but, like, I'd rather watch plays. Show me full plays. Show me full-length plays on fucking YouTube. Like I watched Body Awareness the other day. I started to watch this Thornton Wilder play, The Skin of Our Teeth. It's fucking crazy. It's very weird. It's not like Our Town at all. It's very different than Our Town. Yeah, this is a new feature on YouTube, this green screen thing. Sorry I'm not playing Grand Theft Auto. Maybe if I was playing fucking Grand Theft Auto, people would give like, fuck. But anyway. Yeah, so I was trying to watch these Matt Gazda, or, I'm just seeing what's on there. I'm just trying to see what plays they do have and what you can watch, what kind of bootleg theater. I'm bootlegging theater. Which, honestly, why do they care? I mean, I get it, like, the Dramatist Guild or, like, Samuel French or the fucking whatever play publishing service, theater communications group, like, they want you to... And I guess that's one of the things that's unique about theater, is it's not completely pirated like every other fucking medium of the, movies, music, what have you, journalism. Theater is still kind of something you have to go and see in person, but it's also, it's astonishing to me that it's never been filmed that much, like I enjoy watching plays because it's almost like a poetry reading or a literary thing where it's like, it's driven by dialogue, it's driven by the text, but it's also like you're watching a situation, you're watching an enactment, something alive, something that's moving. And, I don't like reading plays. And I don't think that writing plays is the same thing as, like writing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, writing plays is, like... for me, personally, when I sit down to try to write, it's like... I don't want to keep track of all that shit, With poetry, it's just you can go in all 360 degrees at any time. And that's not to despair. I mean, I do think plays are like a literary form, but I think the best way to experience them is to see them, and to see them over and over and over again. Like if you're an actor in a play, or like, like the Glengarry Glen Ross movie or whatever. It's like you can watch that, but it's like there's not really, there's tons of plays that people will never see. There's tons of musicals that people won't see. There's tons of I mean, basically every fucking Broadway show they ever did, like will never be seen again because it's just like they didn't film it, they didn't distribute it. I think that why not? They're afraid that people aren't going to pay for a ticket or whatever, but it's like I don't know, the profit model of Broadway has changed so much. It's not really about the play, it's not really about how good the play is. It's about the celebrity who's in it. That's why people go. They want to see some totally jacked up like porn musical with like some kind of ridiculous vocal pyrotechnics and like special effects and shit like that. Like Wicked. They want to see George Clooney, at the Winter Garden, or they want to see fucking Daniel Craig or Denzel Washington or Jake Gyllenhaal or you name it. The fucking guy from Young Sheldon or whatever. Like people go to see celebrities. I mean, they want to. The story is like secondary. I'm sure they'll be pleasantly surprised if it's good. But I mean, especially Broadway, it's not really about like original theater anymore. It's just like everything. It's like let's put Jeff Daniels in some classic thing or whatever. Some movie star wants to do True West. Or, I mean, it's also not to complain about it, but it's also just super woke. Everything on Broadway that's not like a jukebox musical or some celebrity thing is like driven by political ideology that's like wokeness is kind of at the forefront of that or whatever. Um, and so, I don't know, that can be kind of, if you're into that, I bet you're psyched about it. But I just wish they'd film more theater. I wish they'd pirate more theater. I don't want to I don't want to have to go to New York Lincoln Center Public Library to watch like a production of fucking, The Woods by David Mamet or, John by Annie Baker, or I'd love to see an Octoroon or fucking I love those Apple Family plays. That guy, I think his name is Richard Nelson. During the pandemic, they did a Zoom play. This guy wrote a Zoom play about the pandemic using this Apple Family, which is like in a bunch of different, it's like a cycle or whatever. There's like 4 plays, the Rhinebeck cycle or whatever the fuck it is. And it's these characters kind of like at different times or whatever, which I've never seen because it was at the public theater and like, you can go to fucking, the drama bookshop and read the scripts or maybe like a university library or something. But like, are you going to be able to see those plays anywhere? Like, I don't know. Maybe if they do a production at a college or something but during the pandemic, like I said, they did a Zoom play that was the same characters and it was incredible. I mean, it was like realism in a very modern sense. It was like everything the characters were talking about was like very true to I mean, and the guy wrote it like in April 2020, so it was like done very fast. I'd like to see more of that guy's plays, Richard Nelson. But the theater is one of those things that it's not only incredibly expensive now because that's the culture of Broadway. It's like you want to see Glengarry Glen Ross on, with Bob Odenkirk, it's $350 or something for just like the shittiest seat because it's loaded with celebrities. Bill Burr, Michael McKean. So everybody who saw Springsteen on Broadway, like every boomer, Chris Christie voter who's going to drive over the George Washington Bridge or whatever and come see Glengarry Glen Ross with fucking Bill Burr. So the average person, it's just like, forget about it. It's like, who can come see Broadway? People who save shitloads of money and like take a vacation to New York to see a bunch of plays, or tourists and rich people, like everything else. But in any case, I just don't get why it's not, They do these like pro shot theaters every once in a while. I noticed they do this more with like British productions, like the Old Vic and shit will do like some kind of IMAX like live stream of some fucking production they're doing. Hedda Gabler or Benedict Cumberbatch as fucking Hamlet or whatever. Whatever their new version of Uncle Vanya is. And so like you can go to a theater and pay to see that. But I'm just I'm an advocate. I think it's also that's like a class thing, like theater, like a lot of these kind of like more highbrow art forms. It's kind of being kept afloat, or it's indicative of the wealth inequality, that it's just like the people that participate, that are able to do it, are have independent wealth or whatever. But so I wanted to see these fucking, I'm just thinking of things to watch on YouTube that are like, it's a little better than watching Sam Sater or fucking Hassan videos or whatever. It's like sitting and like watching this kind of presentation, webcam, yap sesh with one guy, political. It's like it's not that dynamic of a presentation. There's something about a play, the simulation of life, getting it on its feet, the blocking, but the text is still kind of rich. It's still kind of a written document. So it's like taking a poetry reading almost and breaking it up into a bunch of different pieces that kind of like interact. Whereas, and as a writer, I find myself kind of trapped because it's like I've kind of embedded myself and kind of burrowed in over the last decade into this writing process where it's like uh it's just like it's like a self monologue. It's like you're taking everything that would be in a play or a movie or a novel that you would write, and you're like packing it into some kind of like self soliloquy monologue thing of your, maybe of sort that's sort of an imitation of your inner world or something, and trying to kind of dump all the contents of that out through these kind of singular mono presentations at poetry readings, in front of a microphone with the portfolio or whatever. It's not as dynamic in some ways as theater is, right? Where you have actors and costumes and lights and rehearsed, and everybody remembers their lines. And I don't know, just as a writer, it's hard for me to get back. A lot of what I wrote when I was younger was scripts, right? Like I started out basically writing comedy sketches. That's what I did in middle school all the time, was write fucking scripts and comedy sketches and stuff like that. And through college, that was it, if not my main form of writing, it was like always part of my writing. It was like I wrote prose in my moleskins or whatever, and then I would write movie scripts and scenes and scenarios for ideas for movies, plays, whatever. And I wrote a lot of pieces of things, a lot of pieces of films that I wanted to make, plays that I wanted to make that I never quite. I mean, I think just where I was and how I grew up, I didn't really know how to introduce that self into like a collaboration in a way that uh I don't know, reached out into like the outer world. Like I made movies and stuff with people I went to high school with. I like wrote scripts. I get my friends to be in them, and I took it seriously when I was in theater and shit in college. But there was just something about like really taking upon yourself to like, that's one thing that this Matthew Gaz. So I couldn't find any of his fucking plays on YouTube. Believe it or not, there's no bootleg copy of Dime Square by Matthew Gazda. But there goddamn should be. There should be a fucking video of it. I guess I'll have to find the book some goddamn place, or they have it at Drama Bookshop, but it's like $25. I guess I could go read it there, but I was looking at it a couple months ago. Like, it seemed like, you know, almost satirical sketch of like a milieu. It didn't necessarily seem like some great fucking play or anything. I think part of the Matthew Gaz, and he's a smart person. I watched these interviews with him. Like he's smart. He had a lot to say. To me, it was kind of a window into this scene downtown, and I think that's part of the reason why he is this kind of New York. I don't know if I'd say phenomenon or something, but like he's gaining traction in a way that's like it's just hard to do that now. But I think part of it is he is kind of there is a lot of interest in this like scene and this kind of real estate proposition or whatever it is, this kind of ethos that is Dime Square, and it's completely boosted and has been right by Peter Thiel and Yarvin. I mean, I've been hearing shit about fucking Curtis Yarvin since I got back to New York in 21. Murmurings of Curtis Yarvin, at KGB and elsewhere. And I sort of like am a little bit not wanting to be involved with that. Like I would go down to Dime Square and shit and just kind of like check out the vibe, but I never went and hung out in any of those places really or ingratiated myself because there was something about it that seems kind of like it seems, to be honest, like a bunch of frustrated white people, a lot of whom are probably wealthy, who don't like woke politics because it's not about them. It kind of vilifies them. And so they turn and so I don't really like the conservative bent of it. And I don't like, I mean, even this Matthew Gazda guy had sort of like an openness and a sympathy to the conservative side of things, which is just not really something that it's just not really a part of, I hope this is looking and sounding good. My last few live streams I've had audio problems and some lag and shit, but so far so good. I've got the Huey Lewis here, so that will protect me. And my man Chris Hayes. And Johnny Cola, the bass player's dope. Don't remember his name. He quit a long time ago. I never actually saw him with this bass player. They had a different guy. By the time I saw Huey Lewis 5 times in the 2000s. But I digress. In any case, yeah, so the New York Times is always looking for these kind of like gentrification. They want to boost it. The New York Times, I would say, is one of the hallmarks of it is like, oh, 48 hours and, let's go to some place that, what's the coolest neighborhood in New York? Flatbush. The New York Times is always wanting to kind of break these stories about, oh, there's this underground thing happening in, and there's certain people that it's just like, and myself is sort of included in this. I think any kind of literate, smart person, it's like the New York Times is this weird sort of like guidepost where like, if you get validated or written up in the New York Times, it's like, holy shit, like you've arrived. Like that really, even though its standard has really degraded, and I think it's a victim of everything that New York is a victim of right now, which is just like, the people that work for the New York Times are too privileged. They're too insulated. They've lived in a bubble of privilege. They're highly educated. They're international. Like the people can afford to live in New York now, in Manhattan. It's like they're not just like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, fucking cub reporters or something. It's like they went to fucking Oxford or fucking Yale or something. And they just got piped in. And so they're looking for things that look like them. That's why they write about shit like Matt Starr or fucking this Dime Square thing, because it's something that they recognize. It's just other money. And the fashion is so bad. I mean, why does everybody downtown wear these ugly fucking black leather jackets? Everybody downtown wears these hideous black leather jackets. They're all glossy and shit. There's just kind of a uniform for people trying to be like chic and demure in like New York. They're trying to like blend in with what they think like New York is. And there's also just like this hyper, like I was watching this video of this guy, it was a reading at Sovereign House. What's the guy, Alex Boylstein or something? Boylstein or something. He called himself the avant-garde. And it's just like there's something about it that's just like so apathetic and indifferent and kind of like forcefully indifferent. And the guy's saying stuff about like I like farting, I like Hitler jokes are funny or whatever, you know. And it's like this guy's just another dumbass comedian. He's not like some literary performance artist or something. It's just like he's just in there fucktard. But he's reading at Sovereign House, so it's like, oh, he must be some kind of literary. It's just it's interesting to me how coupled this elite kind of aristocratic wealthy scene is with like literature. They all want to be taken seriously as writers. They all kind of think of themselves as writers. All of their Instagram bios are like, here's my writing. I'm a writer. Here I'm published in fucking Expat Lit or whatever the fuck it is. Spectra. And it's just their politics on the one hand are so bad and so like elitist and conservative and MAGA, right? I mean, this was the big story of the election was it's cool to be MAGA, and people in New York are MAGA and blah blah blah. And it's like the literature has been like that. If you've been paying attention to it for the past couple years, it's like that's been the vibe. And it's hard to tell where that element like begins and ends and just like the rest of the scene does, because it's so caught up in literature and like they're reading at fucking Beckett's townhouse or whatever, they're smoking inside, they're reading at tents, they're at fucking, KGB Red Room, they're reading in this fucking series, they're all dressed like twinks from hell, like fucking pixie bondage anime schoolgirl wombat fucking and I haven't really paid that much attention to all of that stuff the last couple years. I've basically, the literary circles that I've been kind of like participating in. It's more like the unnameable, like hanging out with Philip, Eddie, fucking Jeffrey Joe, Ashley, of course. It's not like I haven't been totally involved with poetry stuff. I've definitely Sparrow. I've been conducting my own poetry life in a very serious way. I've been doing readings. They're all on fucking YouTube. I read it Unnameable a few times. Shout out, thanks to Philip, thanks to Jeffrey Joe. I read at fucking, La Mama. I read at, I did a few, I did fucking Boog City. So I'm a little careful to entangle myself with, especially politically. Like, I take that shit seriously. And I don't know. It's not like I reject these people. If I do reject them as people, it's more because they're just have money. And if you have money and you're like a MAGA person who wants to be literary, it's just like, I don't know. That's not the point of it. To me, it's like the art is political because it's a lifestyle. To me, art, poetry is democratic or socialistic or for the people. It's for everybody. It is something where the masses, the minorities, the downtrodden get to voice themselves and find strength and find power through their own eloquence and their own powers of expression. And rich people who just want to be dilettantes and partake in it like it's just another thing it's a way of art washing their guilt. Their parents were all venture capitalists in the 80s. They were all hostile takeover people, and they inherited all that money, and so now they are the rulers of downtown. It's no longer the rent-controlled poets and the criminals and the people who are strong enough to survive. Now it's just people who Uber everywhere and have shitloads of social media followers. Because who wouldn't want to follow hot, rich people who travel all over the world and went to good schools and have, cool clothes and awesome personal style and taste and are always traveling and fucking eating in fancy places? How am I supposed to advertise and monetize and get famous off my lifestyle when I'm broke as hell? Eating at White Castle or Wendy's or sitting in the Whole Foods just doesn't hit the same as Buvette. Or Kiki's or wherever the fuck those people eat. Clando. To some degree, my understanding of the Dime Square thing is like you can be just sort of a transplant. And I think it's typically white people. A lot of it feels kind of white-coded to me. That's part of it. Not that everybody down there is white, but like it seems to be sort of like a white grievance where it's like these people don't like wokeness, so they've established their own little MAGA like. But the idea is, I guess, if you're provincial, you can just move to New York, and Dime Square is one of the places where, just by virtue of your own charisma, you can sort of insinuate your way into New York's circles, literary circles, whatever, art circles. It is a point of entry for, immigrant outsider from the cultural refugees or whatever from Indiana or whatever. And that's sort of like part of this Matthew Gazda guy's story. We're all Matts. We're all in the brotherhood of the Matts. I'm the king of all Matts. I am definitely the number one Matt worldwide, but we're all kind of the same. Matt Starr, Matt Gazda, Matt Proctor. Wannabe poets in New York, brown hair, downtown, whatever, sort of in show business, performance, with a strong interest in poetry. But he's from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and he really stresses, took him 12 years before he got noticed. He was in New York. He kind of moved to New York at the same time as me, 2010, 2011. And his story is kind of a parallel where he's like, he got this cheap room in Bushwick right before it sort of really gentrified. He said he had a room in Bushwick, $400 a month. I had a similar situation right in Park Slope. Way after it got gentrified. Way after. Although Larry, our upstairs neighbor, was saying Young Ethel's and Fifth Avenue and Park Slope, he was like, this place fucking gentrified. Like, this used to be a war zone. He said Fifth Avenue and Park Slope used to be a war zone. He's like, 10 years ago. Like, his concept of time is a little, I think he probably means the 90s or something. But I guess Fifth Avenue and Park Slope used to be, like, rough. Hard to believe now that it's Skylark and fucking Young Ethel's and Commonwealth and shit. But, it used to be the main streets of Park Slope, I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. This guy, he wrote and directed and kind of put on his own plays in New York for 12 years. And he said something about how, he didn't really go the traditional, I don't think he had an MFA. He went to Syracuse, which I think is a state school. Is it? Is that like a public state school? He seemed pretty educated. He's like a tutor. He's like in those kind of circles. He like probably tutors like elite Upper East Side kids or some shit. probably an SAT tutor or something. So he's like he's reading all the time. He's thinking about grammar and how to construct sentences, and he's like living in that. And I think his writing feels that way. I mean, I was looking at his Substack because he kept talking about his Substack, and it sounded kind of interesting. It's called Diary of a Writer, and I guess every other day he posts a Substack, and I'm looking at it, it's like, it's okay. His writing is it's a little too orderly. It feels like an SAT tutor wrote it. It's like everything is kind of laid out and paced and deliberate, and the plays are kind of like that. He said an interesting thing because I guess he was studying to be a composer when he was growing up. So he said an interesting thing about psychological melodies. He can hear these different psychological melodies, and he's like, you can't have any more than 7 things going on at once. If you have more than 7 or 8 things, it just kind of falls apart. And so I think the way that he's thinking about dialogue is more like music, where it's this kind of intertwining of like simultaneous things that are kind of rhythmically together but doing different stuff, which I thought was kind of an interesting way to approach playwriting. I think one of the things that got me into a whole trying to write that way was like those types of issues. How do you write a scene with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 characters? How do you get actors to play those characters? How do you get costumes? All the production and balancing all of those voices and being able to produce it, getting people to do it. When I was younger, my pool of actors or whatever was like 3 people. I could get 3 people to work on a movie maybe, and that was it. And people just didn't, in Columbus, Ohio, when I was growing up, it's like you're dragging your friends into the movie. It's like they don't really, you move to New York, it's like that's why people come here. They come because they want to make movies, they want to make plays, they want to be in bands. So you've got a lot of people that are eager to just like, yeah, we will audition for free, we'll work for free, we'll be in your fucking movie, and they're right for the part. You can get a 60-year-old guy. In Columbus, Ohio, it's like, how many 60-year-old guys do you know that maybe you can cast in your movie? Like, maybe a couple. There might be a few in the whole fucking town. And so, I don't know. It was harder for me to kind of like, I would get discouraged easy. When I made my movies and like, they didn't really get the reaction that I wanted, I just sort of like tried something else. And I had a good method though. It's like I would write scripts. It's like I would do the thing. It's like I could do it from start to finish. And I made a number of projects, but I don't know. I'm looking at this Matt Gazda's guy career, and I'm like, should I have just stuck with fucking plays or something? It's like part of it for me over the last decade, like going fuller and fuller into poetry, is like, part of that is like systematically, I don't know, just like changing your own mind, going into your own mind and kind of like forcing new thought processes, literally trying to change the way that you think on a sentence by sentence kind of syntax level, and in a certain way, like resisting coherence, resisting being understood, or totally defining the thing in like a conventional way. I almost want to like be anti that. I want to get the energy of like bouncing off that, and that's partially like a way of like scrambling one's own like productivity ethic or something. I think capitalism programs us to be SAT tutors. It wants everything to like fall into these sentences that are like purposeful and communication driven, meaning driven, business driven. And me, I want to be more fun with it. I want to live in a Lewis Carroll world where things are upside down and inside out, and be, you don't want to be just some person that's super efficient on the job. That's like what a robot does. You want to be a mirth maker and a twirler and a dreamer of dreams. And so I think, particularly with the Slooge thing, that was a stage in a conversion where we really committed to the bit and started to just like enact the poem, enact the play, become the character. You know, utilize all of the lines, utilize all of the ideas. I was just sick of keeping notebooks and not being able to use all my ideas and figure out, you know, there's just so, they don't really teach you how to be a writer in playwriting classes. They teach you structure, which I guess makes sense, but you really need to know about creative alchemy and how to utilize your own tendencies and embrace them into the form. You know, like you shouldn't uh, shun your own inclinations. You should figure out how to make them work, because that is the part that makes it interesting. It's like the unique way that you want to do it, the ideas that you have. Just copying, you know, some kind of screenplay format or whatever the fuck it is. It's just like, that is pretty pointless. It's you don't, you internalize that because you've just seen so many fucking movies. And most movies, I think, are less interesting because of the form, because of the hero's journey bullshit. It's like, that's kind of the plague of Hollywood. Like, I have this I have this line in my Manic Panic piece, which I'm sure people are not watching, but they should, because it's kind of the world in microcosm of my last few months. And what is the line in my Manic Panic piece that I wanted to talk about? Fuck. Oh shit, I tore it. Fuck. Oh, it's about Hemingway style. You know how like Hemingway prose style kind of morphed into like this kind of film noir, flat, just the facts kind of macho, terse. It's like a guy hiding his feelings or something, right? Like Hemingway, it's like 90% of the iceberg is underwater. You only have to show the 10% on the surface. It's like, well, that's repressing the fuck out of your feelings, I'd say. But I feel like that style got into Hollywood too. There's so many film noir. There's so many detective movies. There's so many whodunit. You know, Philip Marlowe, kind of like trying to on the case type shit, type shit, type shit, type shit. that that form, that kind of journalistic. I don't know. I guess it's training objectivity or something. Is even in the movies. You know, like even the movies, even that kind of like Robert Towne, Robert McKee, Sid Field. You know, it's all about economizing, economize the dialogue, streamline the fuck out of everything, streamline the fuck out of all the action. And it's like, I just don't think there could be worse advice for somebody trying to be creative. I think you just gotta, and so, I don't know. To me, with these giant poems like the Manic Panic piece or the Diet Soup piece, you know, it's like you can Pangea all of these different worlds together: film, dialogue, fiction, prose, remarks, quips, live stream, painting, video, whatever it is, performance art. It's like it all goes into the giant continental kind of like world of the poem, and it has all these different continents in it. You know, like the poem has an Africa in it, has a Europe in it, has a South America in it. But that is the play, and that is the movie, and that is the kind of one-man show. It's showtime, folks. It's all that jazz. It's but it's this poem, that like you're reading out of a fucking giant book, like you're Prospero or something, casting a fucking spell, casting Doomblade. We've got 7 minutes left till my new vlog is uploaded, baby. Epic Spirits, February 18th through March 19th. That's 1 month of action. And I think it's an hour and 15 minutes or something. There's just been a lot going on. Now that we're out doing gigs again, it's like I've got more site-specific theater to share with you. But my own personal theater became way more of my own life, for better or for worse. Around 2012, everything, you stepped into the role. It became, I don't know, I guess that was foolish. That's not really like a job. I think part of the frustration for me is like everything in our current culture just feels like you have to turn it into a job, or like that's like the mark that it's like, oh, if you're an actor, you got to figure out how to play Superman or Batman, or you got to be Ben Affleck, or you got to get a job in movies. You have to be castable. You have to be able to go and like sell yourself to them. And I don't know. I just got so burnt out. I'm in my midlife crisis that is long and painful and ongoing. I just feel like I got so burnt out on that shit in Columbus, Ohio. I going to theater college, there's no point, because you're using all of your best years. Like, you're only really marketable when you're young in the industry. Like, if you really want to make money and like make a career out of it, you kind of have to start when you're like 18. I mean, even in fucking music and shit. That's the thing that I've seen doing this open mic and being in downtown and shit, is like, Jesus Christ, man. If you're not doing it by the time you're 20 or 21, it's like, forget it. Because there's a bunch of people that already are. I mean, a lot of the people that are famous now were child stars. They had to be, because it's like you got to get in so fucking early. And so it's like, if you go to college and do theater stuff, it's like, that's all shit you should be doing in the real world. It's like, get a job with like a children's theater, get a job with like some kind of fucking theater that like goes to high schools or something, or just move to New York. It's like, you got to go somewhere where there's theater and people who want to make theater, like Chicago, New York, like Columbus, Ohio. It's like, there were people in college that I guess when you're in college, you're so focused on that it's like, yeah, you might do a few things outside of college, but like, you're so tied to the institution, they're kind of like siphoning your energy, to be honest. I mean, this is something that I want to talk about, is like the current reevaluation of like higher ed and its place in our society. And especially the right wing's like war on college, which I don't agree with, but I also think that, like, I don't know, I guess they're not bad places to do work. Like, maybe we'll look back on academia and be like, what a boon that was. What a gift that was. I mean, especially for poets. As much as I talk shit about MFAs, and I hate on MFAs, like, it's kind of a miracle that, like, there's this whole, like, nationwide industry where, like, if you're a poet, you can have a pretty nice life through these like MFA programs. If you're a teacher, if you're tenure track, or not even, it's like, you can kind of have a nice situation for yourself. It's like, oh, you got a book coming out, you're like kind of a micro celebrity in your little world, your little scene, you're traveling, you're doing readings, You're young, you're hot, you're making money to be smart. I mean, what could be more glamorous than that? And you get to be a professor and pretend you're fucking like Sylvia Plath or whatever, fucking Ted Hughes. And, I don't really know the statistics on how much money people make from that, but it looks like it can be pretty good. It seems like there's a whole, you know, little subculture of online kind of alt celebrity poets who do pretty well for themselves through a combination of like MFAs, fellowships, and I don't know. They just managed to put shit together, hustling, book deals, teaching positions, grants, residencies. Not that I was able to get any piece of that pie, but I mean, 100 years ago, how would the poets have done the same? Would there have been a similar marketplace for? I mean, granted, they have to like rip off impressionable 18-year-olds who are taking out giant student loan debt to take these classes that ultimately will get them nowhere. So it is sort of a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme, really. The whole MFA thing is like predicated on, you have to get people to teach and pay you to teach or whatever. And take out these giant student loan debts, which, is a big part of the backlash to higher education, I think. Okay, my upload is finally complete. Is there's an entire generation or two, millennials on down, that are like indentured by student loan debt from the age 22 because they got bilked by, uh, you know, unscrupulous lenders. And, in any case, there was some sense that, like there was that fucking book N+1 put out, probably 10 or 15 years ago, MFA versus New York City. Those were your two options. Those were the idea being, well, those are your two routes to like literary success as a writer. I want my stream to be very like inside baseball about literature, because this is what I would want to listen to. I would want to listen to somebody like talk shop about literary world mechanics and stuff, and the politics or whatever, the culture of what's going on around us. In any case, I guess Matt Gazda being an example of somebody who, at just 12 years of hard work, was able to break through and get the New York Times to write about him and get published and blah, blah, blah. And get. I think his stuff was creating a buzz that, the Times just sort of had to do a story about it, because it's like they were doing these plays in these lofts and they had sort of like all these. I don't know. I think that is the new off-Broadway or something, is like that's one thing I noticed coming back from the pandemic, is there were suddenly all these like downtown people that were interested in like doing acting classes or like writing plays, putting on plays. Like, I don't remember quite as much of that amongst like in-crowd people before the pandemic in the same way. Not to say that people weren't doing theater, but it just didn't seem quite as like DIY. It didn't seem, anybody that did DIY theater, what I saw anyway, it was always like experimental. It was always like performance art-ish. It was always like guerrilla theater, street theater. It wasn't like, or it was people that wanted to be at like Playwrights Horizons or something. It wasn't like, artists. It wasn't like people who wanted to be poets who were like, I'm gonna write a play and like You know, it wasn't like cool and sexy to like be a fucking theater kid, which is really what Matthew Gazda and all these people are. Let's face it. Like it is. It seems like it kind of is now. That seems to be kind of like the big wheel that all of the downtown literary activity kind of spins around, at least as far as notoriety. I mean, there's things like the Whitney Review of Writing and the Drift and shit like that. There was this thing, the Drunken Canal. I don't know. I'm too old. I'm too fucking old to even be talking about this shit. I'm sure Ashley is cringing. The worst thing you can be to Gen Z is cringe. I'm Mr. Cringe. It's all cringe all the time on my live streams. There's no alternative but to cringe. I'm not like these Zizek people, okay? I'm a libtard. I'm proud of it. Their plays seem different, though. They don't seem like as rooted in, like, I don't know, what theater kids are usually trying to do. It's coupled with, like, this cool doing doing coke at a party, gentrifying Chinatown. And it's kind of, I hate to use the word adjacent. It's sort of like shacked up or like next to film industry. You know, there's that Metrograph down there, the Roxy is down there. And sort of media success, podcasting, you know, success, Red Scare, all of that shit, obviously. And so it's kind of wedged in there in this way that kind of gives it, you know, so I think part of the success, right, is this play Dime Square kind of like personifies and exemplifies and kind of gives a narrative or a voice or like an incarnation to that scene. You know, it's like an advertisement for the scene. It's navel gazing. It's a document of that bohemian milieu. It's sort of mumblecore in a way. It's kind of, I don't know. To me, it was just like it's character observation. It's like he's got this kind of like tableau of characters that are kind of in this party or loft or whatever it is. Like I said, I haven't read the whole play. I can see why people like it because it is like clear. It is like, you know, everybody's obsessed with like generations now and sort of like diagnosing, oh, Gen Z is blah, 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 and millennials are blah, 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 and boomers are blah, blah, blah. And all that's so millennial of you, and all the millennial pause, and all that's, you're such fucking Gen Alpha slang. We're obsessed with Gen Alpha slang, and what the hell's with these kids? What are they saying? And so I think that play is kind of, you know, and the New York Times loves that shit. The New York Times loves kind of like articulating subcultures, revealing, you know, those kind of like generational identifying demographic things or something, trends, buzz, tracking the buzz. And so that play is like very much about that stuff. That play is very much about like, boom, here's Gen Z and here's what they're doing. They're doing coke, you know, and fucking loft parties and shit. And Christian Lorenzen is there. See, I don't know that much about this shit. I'm unloading what I do know. As somebody who's sort of like, just kind of like an eavesdropper or like kind of a peripheral witness. You know, I don't really have any contact or connections with that area. I miss that Luncheonette used to do a open mic every Thursday. Two Bridges Luncheonette. I don't know what happened to that place, but that seemed like a cool venue. And it would have been a nice place to do shows, but they just kind of, I don't know what happened. They just kind of threw in the towel or something. But, I mean, it is amazing to see this guy has, like, put on these plays in a very. He said something about he didn't really want to go the institutional route because he likes being involved from the process of start to finish, and he wants to do it himself. He wants to direct the play. He likes directing. It's like that made sense to me. I think in a certain way, I kind of regret what I learned in college because even in fucking high school, I was very enterprising. You know, I was writing scripts, I was storyboarding shit all the time. That's what I did at school. You know, I didn't give a fuck about what they were teaching. I was working on fucking movie shit in the back of geometry class. I was drawing storyboards, I was writing scenes. I didn't have a fucking camera. You know, I didn't have any actors really that could memorize lines or really act. You know, anybody you get to be in a fucking movie was just like a total amateur. And I think moving to New York, the circumstances of living in New York, and just like I don't know, you just want so much experience that like you're just living your life. You know, I got caught up in like living the movie, like Jim Carroll, living at the movies, rather than like, you know, in New York, it's like you could audition actors, you could get the right people, you could go to cool locations, you know, you get a good cinematographer, probably get good equipment, you could get a bunch of people to like really make your movie a thing. It's just I never did that here. You know, my whole life had to kind of be stripped down to like just the essentials and just this kind of like independent vessel that it, you know, that's why I film shit on my iPhone and do vlogs and write the way I do because everything is so tenuous and catch as catch can and danger. You know, I mean, my existence in the city is in danger of just disappearing like that at any time. And so I live very hand to mouth and day to day. There aren't really a whole lot of long term projects or anything with a budget or, you know, it's like I just have to do now. Do it now. Just try to get something now. Try to get something happening now. And it doesn't work. But it's also I don't know. It's like a drug thing. It's hard to write like in any kind of sane way, or even just like I don't. I mean, uh, you know, I wish with the Slooge thing we had focused on plays. You know, that would have been something that we could have done long term. It wasn't loud like music was. Music is, but you know, even now, it's like I'm still doing music because it's just the most fulfilling. It's musical theater. It's like Jesus Christ Superstar or something. You know, it's just the most fulfilling kind of operatic extension of like your soul. You know, theater, it's like it's got to be so kind of like dialed in or something. I don't know. It's just like it's all got to be controlled. It's got to be memorized. It's got to be you've got a responsibility to kind of the actor and the part and things. I guess I did just want to scream my head off for 10 years. Probably the only thing anybody's going to remember about me in New York is like, Jesus Christ, that Matt Proctor guy loved to fucking scream. He was loud. Oh, Matt Proctor, was that the guy who's always screaming? That's the guy who was always on stage at KGB bars screaming. screaming his fucking head off. It's therapeutic. I feel full extension when I'm screaming. You just feel like full extension of your spirit matter. I mean, maybe, I think it does take 12 years now. I've been doing it for, I've really been doing it sincerely hard for a little over 10 years. My 10-year anniversary, really, our coming out performance was March 6, 2015. That was my first gig with Holy Smokes at Pete's Candy Store, March 6, 2015. Even though we'd been doing open mics for about a few months before that, 6 months or so. That was really like the beginning. Or, I don't know, I was writing plays, I guess, a year before that, which was also a big, I mean, to me, there was a, I mean, as stupid as it is, one of the big things that held me back was stage fright, especially with writing. You know, I was afraid to show people my writing, definitely, because I thought that they wouldn't like it, or they thought they wouldn't think I was a genius. That's really what I was afraid of. They wouldn't think I was a genius. Let me throw another background up. Oh, can I not add more? I need to add more. Oh, no, I need to add more. God damn you. Oh, fuck. Alright, well, we'll do this, I guess, for now. Lou Weezer. I don't have that many options. Otherwise, I'd pick something else, probably. I can't get any other options. It won't let me add anything right now. I need to select more photos, god damn it. What is that? Oh, we're back to Huey Lewis, or... I don't know. You idiots, you tech assholes. Why is this not working? Oh, I guess I'm getting out of practice with the live streams. I've been doing a little bit less. It feels like it's hard to believe it's only been 67 minutes. All right, the auto thumbnail picked a good one. It picked me right in the middle of my Fosse moment. My All That Jazz Roy Scheider. It's showtime, folks. I've been living a little bit too much like Bob Fosse and All That Jazz recently. Burning the candle at every single end there is. Just burning the fuck out of the candle. Just burn the whole candle. Just flamethrower the candle. Flamethrower the fucking candle, man. I'll have to set up some other background for next time. I'll pick something cool. For my vertical streams during YouTube Shorts. This is for Gen Z. They can only see things vertical. They don't want to see anything. So yeah, it's been a little over 10 years in New York. 11 years-ish of like really committing. But there was a pandemic year. You know, and I've had a nice run. I've had a nice career. I've done a number of things that I'm proud of, and I've written a lot of things. I mean, I you know, like this Matthew Gazda guy, I guess, has written 15 plays. It's like, Jesus Christ. I've written a few books. I think I've got 7 or 8 books. I'm proud of my city life book. I'm proud of my travel journals. I'm proud of my vlogs. I won a fucking award. You know, so I've been a stand-up comedian. You know, I've had a wonderful life as a, you know, low-level worker in the arts. Just sort of an ant, you know, contributing my little crumb to the fucking anthill or whatever. My little speck of a ripple. Epic spirits, everybody. It's what we are. We're epic spirits. We're as big as any super talls. Our souls are as big as any fucking super talls, okay? If you've been beaten down by the audience time and time again, if you you go on facing them anyway, you're as giant as the fucking World Trade Center. There's a New Yorker exhibit at the New York Public Library. That's where I've been chilling recently. I ran into Geo the other day. Shout out to Geo. I'm in the Rose reading room. I shouldn't give away my secrets, but you know, well, we've got this gig tomorrow night. Dear Mama, me and Ashley are doing some poetry at Dear Mama in Harlem tomorrow night. It's a cool venue. I mean, I hope there will be some people there. Probably not. It's like a study cafe, so it's like there's students in there working and things. Probably like weeknights and a Friday night. I'm not sure who the hell is going to be in there, but I will live stream it so you can watch it live on YouTube tomorrow night. Tune in. Me and Ashley live from Dear Mama in Morningside Heights. We did a reading there about a year and a half ago with Philip. It's on YouTube. Check it out. So I've just been trying to gas up my tank by cranking out the word count for my big reading tomorrow. Ashley's going to do half an hour. I'm going to do half an hour, I guess. And then I'm playing Saturday at Caffeine Underground as a part of their 21-day festival to save their venue. So, I'm proud to be a part of that. Come out Saturday to Caffeine Underground. I think I'm playing at like 6 o'clock. I'm playing earlier, 6:20 or something. I'll be whapping you in the face with my freestyle screamo. How come when screamo guys do it, it's cool, and when I do it, I'm just yelling? That's what I want to know. What's the difference? What's the difference between screamo and just being an old man yelling? My poetry is screamo, goddammit. My soul is screamoing. I'm screamoing, damn you. Don't screamo me, bro. Easy Paradise was voted the #1 party school in the United States, everybody, so come on out. Monday, spring break, March Madness, yes! I'm playing at Pete's... Oh, fuck, that reminds me, I need to fill out my form. I'm playing at Pete's, fuck, I should do that right now. April 10th? Shit. Here it is, okay. I thought I did this already. Media request form. I did this, didn't I? If you have not already, how do they know? Action needed. Oh, let me see. Okay, yeah, 4:10, 11 p.m. All right, I guess I need all this. Name of act. Okay. What the hell did I tell him? Okay, in any case. See this, hold on. Okay. Okay. Well, shit. That was just a brief intermission for everybody. Give you a second to just think about what you've done. Catch your breath. Pull yourself together. Yeah, we're gonna do 2 hours. I don't know what the hell my battery's at. Let me see if I can do this now. Damn you. Yeah, so I mean, it's just impressive the guy has been able to, like, he's got, I guess there's a theater space in Greenpoint, Brooklyn Center for Theater Research, where he stages his plays and does acting classes and shit, you know. It's nice to see somebody in a new generation get a foothold for an institution like that, just, from their own work, right, supposedly, I mean, it's not like the Actor Studio or something, or the fucking Eugene O'Neill Center, or some kind of legacy institution. It's just like the dude's making money from doing his fucking plays, and people want to see him. They want to know the sordid tales of fucking Times Square, I guess. What really goes on amongst the MAGA uh, glitterati downtown. Or it's just self uh, aggrandizement, I guess. People want to feel like they're a part of something cool and original and a movement, and I guess amongst the landscape of New York over the last 10 or 15 years, it's like, the weird thing about the dime square culture is, like, it doesn't really feel completely organic to me. It definitely feels like sort of rigged. It feels like it was orchestrated, like 9/11, where it was like, you know, it's a real estate thing. They're gentrifying Chinatown. It's a part of Lower Manhattan that it's valuable, and in the same way that they bulldozed the whole East River Park thing. They took over the East Village, they took over the West Village, they took over Soho, they bulldozed the East River Park. Now they want to kind of bring it down. That part of Manhattan is nice, the Two Bridges area. It's, the seaport. That's another place that they're really trying to make this, like, destination neighborhood. McNally Jackson, and they've been doing a lot of, and I'm like, who is going to this? Who's going out of their way to fucking McNally Jackson Seaport to, like, see some fucking reading or something? It's like, it's way out of the way, unless you live in fucking Chinatown, I guess. You can just walk there, but, from a lot of Brooklyn, it's not that easy to get to. You gotta take the fucking R train or something and then walk a bunch. Or maybe it's just me, I don't know. Uh, so there definitely seems to be, like, a scheme. Not only that, but there's been, these podcasts and Twitter, Elon Musk buying Twitter. I think one of the reasons why I'm dissecting this or looking into this or whatever is because it was a part of the grand movement to reelect Trump. It's sort of like this. It's a way of siphoning young people off the left wing by creating this embedded right wing, like, scene right in downtown Manhattan at a point where, like, Manhattan was really dead, right? Like, downtown is like all of that energy kind of left with the gentrification of the 90s, 2000s, 2010. Everybody who was an artist had to move out of the East Village to Williamsburg, to Bushwick, to Ridgewood, to Bed-Stuy, to Crown Heights, and further. And Dime Square was this kind of like anomaly where it was like, oh shit, it's young people who are somehow able to afford to live in this neighborhood in downtown Manhattan. It's like, why didn't anybody think of this before? Why didn't they gentrify this before? I mean, I remember seeing when I first moved to New York, or for the first few years I lived in New York, you would see rooms on Craigslist in Manhattan for like $800 downtown, and they were always in Chinatown. But it seemed like it would be moving into some kind of like really, like you're moving into a different culture or something. It wasn't like some white person and the whole building is like these white artist people. It was like you'd get some room in some funky building that like you're going to be the only white person in the building maybe. Um so it's like I don't know what it was that kept Chinatown like affordable or cheap, but I mean particularly when the pandemic crashed the real estate market in New York and prices came down to like something reasonable, then it was like, well, now all of these young people really can move into the Lower East Side, Chinatown, East Broadway area. Even though people had been living there before that, because it was relatively cheap somehow. And I think that was because it was like insular. It was like it was among the Chinese community. They kept it within the family. They didn't want white interlopers, and the white people for whatever reason didn't want it either. But I think they just sort of woke up at a certain point, somebody's rich dad visited them down and fucking, like a few times when I was down in that area, I saw Ben Stiller in fucking Dime Square. He was eating at like fucking Forget Me Not or one of those places. I saw Richard Hell down there. Like older people were kind of peeking in and being like, what is this? This is like, is this where the action is? Is this where the young people are? Is this the scene? But I don't know. I remember what that era was like before that, all of that shit. And it does seem like a conspiracy. I'm a Dime Square truther, okay? It's all, well, there's definite funding, that helps kind of like turn the neighborhood the way that they want it to be. And look, it worked to their advantage in this election. They're fucking trying to tip the youth vote to the right wing. I think the Dime Square thing is, in a weird fucking way, some kind of like deep part of that. On Twitter, people's perception of what cool is and what edgy is. A lot of that literature that is at Sovereign House or wherever, it has a lot in common with like edgelord streamer culture. It has a lot in common with like kick streamers and brutal fascist Nazi bullshit, Violent, mean-spirited, bigoted. And so I don't know. It's particularly it's just hard to untangle all of this. I'm not sure that you can. I don't know that you can separate it. Like it might, they want to pose like they're like Bernie Bros or something, gone bad, the dirt bag left. It's like, oh, we wanted to be socialists, right? Like the first time you ever saw Dasha was on InfoWars. She's like, I just want health care. You people have worms in your brains. It's like, well, who's got worms in their brains now? I'm not sure that wasn't a plant, to be honest. You know, the first time this chick ever appears in the media is on fucking InfoWars. Like, doesn't seem like a coincidence. And, like, this fucking Sailor Moon costume, drinking a fucking boba. Straight out of Central Casting for Vocal Fry, Millennial Parker Posey clone. Not Buddhism. Tsunami. More brain rot for my brain rot lovers out there. So it feels cultivated. It all feels very cultivated to me. There's a lot of things that haven't gotten that much publicity. You know, like, why the fuck does New York Times cover this stuff so much? Why does it cover fucking everything Matt Starr does? I'm just a bitter live streamer complaining. I guess these guys have some kind of, like, pizzazz or something. Razzmatazz. Do a reading in a bathhouse or whatever the fuck it is. Get some celebrities to read in a boxing ring. That's literature. That's Dada. The thing is, they think they're being, like, avant-garde or something. And it's like, it's really just, like, toothless. It's like something a fucking child would do. We'll do a reading in a boxing ring. Isn't that so fucking... It'll look great on social media. We'll get a bunch of fucking engagement. That's not poetry. It's just like... We live in such a society of have and have-nots now that those readings just reek of privilege to me. And that's part of, like, I think the in-group, out-groupness of it. You know, as those people reject, they want to, you know, they want to put their finger in the face of, like, woke politics and just allow themselves to be privileged. And so what if they're so great? They're New York, you know, born and bred kind of high society, highfalutin, cool, well, you know, well-educated. Me, it's like, I'm a guy from Columbus, Ohio. I didn't get to New York till I was almost 26. It was already way over by that point. I didn't really get going as an artist till I was 30. You know, the project of moving to New York took about 5 years to kind of break my life apart and kind of, like, restabilize it and figure out how to do it here. I should have just did what Ashley did. I don't know. I had to figure everything out for myself. I didn't know shit. There was no fucking, you know, there was the Village Voice when I moved here. It was still kind of a dark, scary place. Now it's like been blown open with the light of gentrification and safety and the internet and smartphones. There were barely smartphones when I first moved here. And there really wasn't, like, social media. There weren't apps like Instagram and shit. So you were kind of just, like, feeling your way in the dark, kind of still in a way. Now it's just like there's light shed on everything everywhere. There's no, like, mystery. It's just like everything is just like, oh, just get on and read the Yelp reviews, look at pictures, look at the menu, look at social media posts about it, look at ratings, look at the hashtags. It's all bullshit, man. It all sucks now. Well, I go to Jefferson Market Library to work today. There was 15 people sitting on the floor because there were so many people in that giant room, which has got probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 seats. It's got these giant tables, chairs. It's like somebody must have made a TikTok about it. Somebody must have made some goddamn TikTok that went viral about Jefferson Market Library, and oh, this is my favorite place to go study. Because now it's just like you go in there and it's like all manic pixie Gen Z psychos. Well, they're not psychos. It's just like they're, I don't know. They're just like social media beasts. They're hype beasts. All of them, even the women, especially the women. They're the biggest hype beasts of all. They're the ones that can really girl boss the fuck out of their social media and shit. I don't know what the hell the guys can do. They can start some kind of stupid gaming channel. God, look at my fucking hair turning gray. It's not right. That's the cost. Cost of trying to do it the hard way, the old-fashioned way. Yeah, so I don't know. It was just interesting listening to this podcast of this guy, because his own kind of timeline parallels mine, and uh, I don't know. Good for him for getting his break or whatever, but what the hell else do I need to talk about? Okay, it's been an hour and a half. Yeah, so I don't know. I was just trying to write my ass off this week. I don't know why. Uh, if nothing else, it's just like that's the work. And having these readings coming up, it's like you need material. And so I had to generate some material, some things to say. I got to have some things to say to people when I trauma dump tomorrow all over the 3 people that are there who are probably just working there or something. Uh, yeah, I don't know. We have our own thing. We go to West Park open mic. Well, I'm like, should I try to fucking cultivate, like, why are these people not coming to KGB every week? Why are have I scared? Is the vibe so apparent at Monday nights that we're like this island of misfit toys or something, that like we're just the rejects, or I don't even know what. We're just we're sort of defiantly uncool. We're not wearing like these shiny black leather jackets like everybody else. Um, these giant oversized like glossy leather, like laminated with big belts. I don't know what the fuck that is. Everybody seems to wear giant black leather jackets. Should I try harder to like that? Is that like the fickle 500? Like, I don't know if people have heard about this concept of the fickle 500, but it's like supposedly every town has the fickle 500, which is like the jet set of that town. Like the cool people that go to everything. They're the people that sort of like they find, I don't know. There's just certain people. It's like they're not even cool. If you hang around them, they're kind of insufferable. Actually, that's like what makes them cool. Is that they're insufferable. A lot of times they're not even that good looking. They just have cool clothes or something. The millennials all have tattoos and like cutoffs, and they're just insufferable assholes. But those are the fickle 500, and somehow, I don't know, they find out about shit before everybody else. They go there. They're all, I guess they're all at Sovereign House or whatever. They're doing these readings at St. Dymphna's, I saw. Where the fuck do you even read at St. Dymphna's? That's what I want to know. It's like a fucking bar. It's like, what do they... How do they close it off to, like, the reading? It's like, where the fuck are they reading? Look at my fucking white hair. I look like Bonnie Raitt. Oh my god. Why is this happening to me? Prematurely aging fast. It's a curse. I've been cursed. People have voodoo dolls that they're playing with of me, I think. People I've fucked over at the open mic. They're trying to pay back by sticking pins in their Matt Proctor voodoo dolls. It's working. I don't know. Do you feel like you're being dragged down by society? Is it just me? I guess I shouldn't let the collapse of our our country, our nation, our society, question mark, our global, our way of life. I guess I shouldn't let that like put you know put me in a bad mood or like make me not take care of myself. But it feels like I don't know. I don't want to. Like apparently we're in an eclipse portal, which I guess through March 29th we're in an eclipse portal, whatever the fuck. Which I think just means we're like falling through like trap doors of floors of like eclipse after eclipse after eclipse. And so I guess just like a bunch of shit is going to change. Be braced for it before March 29th. And then what? Then we don't know. So that explains the. I don't know. I've just been getting a lot of uh, like like vengeful retribution, kind of like it's time to pay the toll energy or something. I don't know. People have really been coming after me big time recently. And I don't know. Is it ever going to get better? Were the last 2 years like the chill, awesome years before like the hell of global depression, world civil war? Psychic warfare, info wars. I mean, that's why I'm talking about and like sort of like trying to like understand or sculpt or get the landscape of like this Times Square thing, because it's like, we're sort of in conversation with that, or we're sort of in the same turf. We're sort of pushed up against it, or like I said, why don't those people come every week? Or do they come and they go, wow, this is fucking gay, and then they leave and they go to Sovereign House? When is the Sovereign House open mic? See, I feel like I want Easy Paradise to be like an antidote to that kind of coolness. Like I just don't think it's really that cool to be cool. It's just not really that like humane, like it's more humane to be cringe in like a sincere way, or just like to just be sincere, or like I'd like to think that the people we get on Monday are just like, I think they're earnest, they're artists, they're not really like just trying to fit in with like, this is what's cool right now, going to fucking Clando and being on Twitter and being like a Bitcoin fucking douchebag, or Urbit or Discord or whatever the hell it is. Reddit, I don't even know. All of it, all of the above. MAGA, Reddit, Kick, Twitch, Doge. I was thinking about how the word incel is kind of like a play on sleeper cell. Well, I was trying to think of where that word, the end of the word cell came from. Because incel kind of makes it sound like it's some tech word. It makes it sound like it's like from some video game or science fiction about like tech. Like, oh, they're incels. The fucking incels. Everything just sounds like bad science. Elon Musk and Peter Thiel are paying the incels to beat people up on Kick. And Palantir and Curtis Yarvin and fucking Tucker. They just want peace. They want peace in Ukraine. They want peace in Palestine. Tucker is a real from the river to the sea guy. Tucker's a real fucking. He just wants to stop the genocide in Palestine. That's all he really cares about. Well, we're in a cave hole. I'm in a K-hole off the Halsey stop. I'm going in nowadays with my dad. He brought his golf clubs. He thinks it's a real hole out here. The grossest thing, I mean, I remember this was before the pandemic. I was out by Halsey stop, which was like the ghetto. I mean, come on, that is the ghetto. That is not for, that is like Hispanic. Or it was. And going to some fucking bar, restaurant out there, and some white kid living in the neighborhood was there with his parents, and I felt like we were at a golf course. The dad is like wearing a ping hat and like fucking cargo shorts, khaki shorts, and like a fucking Izod club shirt. It's like, this is fucking Halsey stop. It's not Orlando. But somehow it is all of a sudden. Uh, this is the cultural landscape. And so, I don't know, in New York, I'm kind of choosy. I'm choosy about where I go and what I want to participate in. I don't really want to be a part of gentrifier poetics, if I can help it. I feel like Mondays we're in the tourist industry. The idea is we're in, downtown Manhattan. It's like there are people with money. We are in a place where it's like we are the entertainment for anybody who comes into that bar, and people who want like a premium showcase in a high-end venue in a great location near the center of the world. And memories that will last a lifetime. That's what we're creating week after week after week. We're making dreams come true. Where dreams take wing. And I want that to be a wholesome spiritual experience for good people. And, and get the people who can pay to subsidize it. Because they are there, right? Downtown New York, there are people with money who it's not even a thing to them to spend $100 or whatever. And so it's the Reeperbahn, it's Hamburg, it's mock show. It's like being in the fucking theater troupe at Cedar Point. It's like I really, and this is one of my own personal disappointments is like I do feel like I could be the Joe Papp of like cabaret or something, where it's like I don't think New York really realizes, like these comedy clubs especially, I think they're really beating a dead horse in that they're not really giving people a show. It's like in Manhattan you have all of these fucking people who came to the city for like a New York experience, and they have money, they want to go into a club and see something memorable and interesting. And you could put really good stuff on McDougal Street and Bleecker Street. And that's what I try to do at Red Room. That's as close as I can get. Is like I want something interesting. So if like you're from out of town and you wander into that, you're going to be like, "Holy shit, I saw the essence of New York." in microcosm. It's like I saw fucking a cross section of the whole city and what's going on. I saw music, I saw poetry, I saw prose, I saw comedy, I saw weird shit, I saw wild shit, I saw poor, grungy people, I saw rich, glossy people, I saw sexy people, I saw neighborhood people, I saw old timers, I saw people who probably had fake IDs. There was a sketch artist, you know. It's a salon, it's a petri dish, it's a crossroads, it's a trading post, it's a marketplace of ideas. It's the House of Commons, it's the House of Lords. It's a place for people to yell at each other. I love when, I mean, I probably should ban comedians for really having crash outs on stage, but I kind of think it's amazing sometimes. I don't know. They should be a little bit nicer to the hecklers, usually, but they're scared. And it's not easy up there. Uh, you know, you're kind of painted into a corner, and you're trying to get people to like you. And you're listening to every reaction in the room. You know, you're trying to gauge. So if somebody says something, it throws off your cadence, which is so important. Uh, yeah, there's just not enough of that, especially near Times Square. It's like where if you let's say theoretically you're staying near Times Square, where on earth could you walk in anywhere near there and see like a variety show of anything local and interesting like at all, or see a local band? Like maybe you'd see a local band in like a fucking pub or something, but it's like that's not really like Hell's Kitchen has like one or two places I think that have like music type things, or like there's definitely club culture sort of, but like there should be some kind of like well attended showtime where tourists go. You know, it should be a place where tourists go and spend money to see what's going on in New York. They should know, like, okay, I can go to fucking Broadway, I can go to whatever, Don't Tell Mama or whatever it is, uh, and see like cabaret shit. But here's where I go to see like funky, local, variety, something with a vision, something with actually like a fingerprint, a point of view, DIY. I think house shows were instrumental in the education. You know, like in Columbus, Ohio, on campus, that was like the thing, was like house shows. Even in high school. I mean, that's like where you did gigs. It was like there weren't really venues if you were underage. You had to just like, okay, we'll do a show in fucking Chip's basement. We played Chip's high school graduation. We played on his front porch. And it was raining, so like everybody at the graduation was like standing in this fucking tent watching us like fucking awkwardly play in front of like our parents. Our friend Michaeline, her mom was mayor of the fucking town. She lived across the street, so it's like we're playing in front of the mayor of the town. It's fucking kind of weird. Not the most rock and roll thing ever, maybe. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We're just going to keep hanging on until a breakthrough will happen. I mean, like Matt Gazza said, 12 years. I'm going to say I've been doing it 11 years. And so, you know, it's going to happen soon. I can feel it. I think they're going to discover my city life and my radical life poem, which is just like growing like a tapeworm endlessly. just endlessly spewing out from my pen and my tongue on my live stream. The live stream is also part of the life poem. My literary executors, my wish is I want to combine the text from all my live streams and my notebooks. So I want to have just like a giant, I want like a 50 volume concordance of Proctor. All of my notebooks need to be like printed and mass disseminated, like Pepe's diary. Well, okay, so I'm in the Rose reading room of the New York Public Library, and they have a few texts that are just like there for you to look at. Among them, like a lot of the Library of America. They have From the Other Side of the Century, which is an excellent anthology by Sun and Moon. I gotta buy it. It's kind of unbelievable, actually. It's a continuation of, or the idea, I guess, is that it's sort of like a version of the Donald Allen anthology, but sort of from picking up where it left off. So it might, to be honest, it might be the best compilation of that stuff that I've seen. Kind of boomer postmodernism. There's Zoomer dynamism. There's boomer postmodern. Why do the Zoomers want to be defined by the boomers? That's what I want to know. Why do you want to let them give you your identity? Zoomer, doomer. Like Matthew Gazda's got two plays. One's called Zoomers, one called Doomers. It's like those are all puns on boomer, you know? It's like, is Gen Z just like Boomer Jr.? And we're like the second greatest generation? We're the reincarnation of the greatest generation. We're the sequel. Because we just have to suffer fucking valiantly through all of the bullshit. 9/11, recession, war, Trump, pandemic, Curtis Yarvin, Dime Square bullshit. The Tom Pettification of our commons. Everywhere you go, all you fucking hear is Tom Petty music everywhere. What about fucking Huey Lewis, goddammit? What about the fucking news? I think they're being overlooked. There's too much fucking Tom Petty. There's not enough fucking Huey, baby. What's happened to the soul of this nation? It's gone awry. And we're tracking the fall in real time here. We're streaming it. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. I've got 5 people watching. Let me try to... This is huge for me. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's taken a long time for me to climb back to this mountaintop of having 5 people watch. Oh, I've got 9 likes. Thank you. Donate to my super chat. Throw some money in my super chat for Superhead. Jesus Christ, is my hair gonna turn gray? I hope I'm like one of those hot salt and pepper guys. Oh, you unliked. They unliked. You son of a bitch. Because I called attention to it. I should have just been cool about it. You gotta react like it doesn't matter. Like you don't care. Like, oh yeah, no big deal. Yeah, so they have these texts at the New York Public Library Rose Reading Room that are just like in the collection. They're just part of the reference. They've got, I was looking at Dante Gabriel Rossetti because of those Ken Russell movies. That Ken Russell movie with Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed doesn't look anything like the frontispiece. He has a book, what is it? The House of Life. His sonnets were really good. He does a bunch of translations. Rossetti was pretty good. I was into Rossetti. And he was a freak like Scott Steiner. He's Freak of the Week. They have a Matthew Arnold. They've got Keats's letters. So I want all of my diaries. I want the complete works of Matt Proctor. perfect bound in reference volumes. I want all my zines perfect bound in reference volumes in the Rose Reading Room. When they bury me in Poets Corner at St. John the Divine, or whatever the fuck it is. What is that church called? The biggest church in the United States, which you can see from Ashley's kitchen. Like it's the fucking Rock of Ages, just like jutting out from the cliffs of Morningside Heights. The cliffs of Dover. The wondrous shoals, the fjords of Morningside Heights, and the northern lights of Dear Mama. Maybe I'll just improv, man. Tomorrow night, I'm just going to improv. I'm just going to do some scat singing, man. You know, McDougal Street should have some goddamn poetry on it. You know, Grizzly Pear should have a fucking poetry reading. Let me book a fucking poetry reading at Grizzly Pear. I'll get the 2-drink minimum. We'll get the fucking tourists in there. Poetry is better than stand-up comedy. It's better at being stand-up comedy than stand-up comedy is. You're going to get more. I think women know this. Women are like deeply in... I think poetry is stand-up comedy for women. It's deeper than that. I don't mean to, you know... Women are deeper than that. You know, I think they have a richer experience. They're listening for a fuller, more textured, sensual, synchronistic kind of synecdoche of what's the fuck is that called? Where you see music as colors. It's not synchronicity. John Mayer has it, right? What the fuck is that called? That's what I'm talking about. I can't believe I can't think of this word. Where it's like you see words are like a certain color. Oh my god, I can't believe I can't think of this word. Shit balls. I'll look it up real fast. Synesthesia, obviously. Maybe if I was a fucking SAT tutor. See, I don't want to write like an SAT tutor. I want to bomb the establishment with my guerrilla syntax. And it's like a you know, turning it on its head, and it's a detournament, you know, of the order of the imperialism, of the cultural imperialism. I want to be a rag man drawing circles up and down the block. The ragman, the can lady. I have that line in my poem, Manic Panic. The ragman, the can lady. These are my people. They're still here. They're a part of the ecosystem. The ragman, the can lady. They've economized, you know, recycling. What could be more beautiful than that? That's like my poetry. It's just a patchwork of a garbage cloak. Like Huey and Lewis and the motherfucking news, bitch. I would put another background up, but alas, I'm screwed over by shitty YouTube constrictions. Give me more. Give me more. I don't want recents. I want other categories, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. I need more options for my fucking green screen, you piece of shit. Maybe we'll go outside for a sec. Here we are. We're at New York City Poetry Festival now. These are the only pictures I have. There's another Weezer thing. My top tracks of 2023. Pork and Beans by Weezer. Bob Dylan. Duncan and Brady. Then We Are All on Drugs. Oh, those were simpler days, weren't they, everybody? Weren't they, everybody? Those are the only pictures I have. Opening night, Mexican. Ashley must have liked this 9 times. She's probably watching this on 4 different devices. Ashley's just got her phone open, her laptop. She's watching on a smart TV. She's watching on an Apple Watch. Just kidding. She's got multiple tabs open. Does it count if you are watching it on multiple tabs? Like if you just had my live stream open in like 10 tabs, would it count as 10 different people watching, or it probably just it's like tracks it by your email or some shit like that. The feds at YouTube don't want me to have any fucking stats, at all. They just want to bury me in the fucking mix and shadow ban me and whatnot. Obviously they want to silence my truth. I'm too anti Yarvin. I'm too anti fucking Palantir. I'm too anti AI surveillance, uh, criminology, anticipating future crimes, arresting you in advance, or scrubbing your live stream transcriptions for subversive anti Elon sentiments, of which, of course, that's one of my main. It's one of my main subjects, really. Look how old I'm getting. Is this from? Is this from the stress of? It's from this fucking tooth, man. This goddamn fucking tooth. My chest does feel better though, so that's good. I don't know. I'm just writing my poetry. I'm just trying to sustain my poetry. AWP is next week. So Ashley's going to be beginning her publicity blitz for her book. Well, my hair turns white, my face gets wrinkled. Look at my eye. Look at what's happening in my eye. Oh, God. I'm obsessed. I'm just constantly obsessed about how my eyes are, like, getting all wrinkled and shit from stress. Do I look a lot older than I did? I feel like I'm aging rapidly, and I'm, like, preoccupied. See, this is what my live stream is about. It's about, like, talking about that shit that, like, I don't know. That's just, like, on your mind all the time, but you're not really supposed to talk about. I'm just, like, obsessed with this. Why don't I fix this tooth? I've just been trapped in this kind of whirlpool of, like, my routine. And I'm obsessed with, I had a great line today about, giving my brain a hand job. I guess that's how I would define my work, or how others might define it, but I have to go to the library. I have to go to the library and give my brain a hand job. It's what I enjoy. I mean, I have to inscribe it. We have to mark it down. We have to unload the memories, the moments of poetry, the moments of knowledge and wisdom and experience and observation and gripe and grievance and personal vendetta in the big magic astrological clock of our journey through existence. It all is a metaphor for itself. I was thinking today about how much food is like painting. Cooking is so much like painting. Like what was I eating? I think I was having Wendy's. I was at Wendy's because I had a Frosty and I had fries and I had chicken nugget and I had. See, the reason why I go to Wendy's, I can get this meal. It's not as unhealthy as it sounds because I get the junior bacon cheeseburger on a lettuce bun. So there's no gluten, there's no dyed sugar bun, of white flour, bleached sugar bun. It's lettuce, tomato, onion, and then you've got the protein of the beef and the. I mean, bacon's not great, but it is what it is. You got to have some flavor. You got to have some crunch. So you have all these different colors. You got the tomato. It's this nice kind of orangish red. You have the onions, which are white. You have the green lettuce. You have the juicy seeds of the tomato. That throws in another like little subtlety, a little note. You have the crunch and the smoke and the of the bacon and the pork, and then you have the kind of chewy uh, beef, the crunch of the lettuce. So you got some vegetables. You're eating vegetables. Congratulations. That's not easy to do as a human being. We don't want to do that. We want to have cereal or chicken nuggets or whatever, or I don't know, whatever the fuck people eat. Squab. My favorite dish, squab. And the fries are yellow, the frosty is cool and creamy and brown. It's kind of a purplish coffee color. And then you have the chicken nuggets, a warm kind of orange with a crunchy outside. So it's like these colors, these textures. I don't know, maybe I'm just a fat ass. But to me that's like a painting, the way that you balance those things and combine them into the salad of the palate, is kind of like cooking, which is a lost art. Now everything is just microwave. It's not like, oh, you're learning about how to imbalance ingredients and how they kind of interplay with each other, like characters in a play or lines in a poem. The poem is the same thing as the painting. It's like you need to throw a lot of things in there. You need bacon in your poem. You need American cheese. You need chicken nuggets. You need a frosty. That's all got to be in the poem. Or it's like it's got to have black beans. It's got to have pinto beans. It's got to have pico de gallo. It's got to have corn. It's got to have chicken. It's got to have brown rice. It's got to have all these things. The poem to give it the variety of textures. At least I guess that's collage. It's collage food. That's what I'm into. As I was sitting there eating Wendy's today, because see, I take a bite out of the junior bacon cheeseburger, then I put it down, then I have a fry, I dip it in the frosty, I have that, then I have a nugget, I dip it in the frosty. So it's like I'm rotating. I want this flavor, and then I want to kind of interrupt that flavor with another flavor because I don't want to, I don't know. Do other people eat differently is what I was wondering. Like, do other people just eat, okay, I'm going to eat the burger and then I'm going to eat all the fries and then I'm going to, or is it like, is it natural to want kind of like a rotation, a roster, a buffet or like, an alternating pattern of ingredients rather than just like, I just want, food that's all the same color or something. Like to me, I think that is kind of a principle of eating. I don't know where I heard that originally, but like you want foods that are all different colors. Generally, it's healthier and a weird. It's a simple way to make your food kind of like healthier or like more kind of diversified or something. Um, Even though it sounds kind of dumb or childish or something. Okay, I guess I'll get off pretty soon. It's almost 2 a.m., so I'll get off pretty soon. Oh god, look at my fucking eye. Holy shit, what is happening here? This is not good at all. Oh no. This is so bad. I never thought this would happen from a fucking tooth. I just never thought this would happen from a tooth. It's a curse. Look at what happened when I look at what I do. Look what happens when I do this. Um, yeah. So I don't know. That's one of my strategies. Maybe that's why I can't write a play. Or like the play should be like that too. It's like you one of different things talking to each other in an ensemble. I don't know. I guess I'm a millennial. I'm from the kind of like fast, casual, Chipotle style, small footprint. I think I heard something about like Chipotle. They can put it like in a very small, like the actual serving area for Chipotle. Like it's a very small footprint. I think I heard that somewhere. But other things have kind of taken on that model, Sweet Green or Kava or whatever I don't even go to these places, but uh, build a bowl type fucking places. Maybe that's peak millennial. I don't know what's Gen Z food. What's that place, Wonder or something? That's like a ghost kitchen. I guess that's Gen Z. Is to just DoorDash ghost kitchen food. Okay, well, anyway, I thought this was productive. How do you feel about it, everybody? Was it good for you? Okay, maybe I should end on a different. What else have I got here? It's my Yorn album. This would be the cover. I don't know what that is, but there you go. Well, I've got 4 viewers. I hate to fucking give up on my fucking 4 viewers, but shit. Watch my vlog tomorrow night. I'll probably be live streaming the next 2 nights. I'll probably live stream the reading tomorrow and the gig on Saturday. So, for my diehard fans and my real subscribers, I'll try to do something meaningful and communicative for you tomorrow. My top albums in 2023: Modern Times, City Lights soundtrack, New York by Lou Reed. What a different vibe. I don't know. Things change, the music changes. I don't know. Times change, the music changes. We're lucky to keep going. We're lucky we're still in it. We're still alive. We're still enunciating our passions, our passionate beliefs, and artistically, circumscribing our trails through the world. It's exciting to me. I get a kick out of it. It's sort of like, not micturating. What's the word for like an ant that, like when they chew their food or whatever? Doing that with experience. Molting? No. What's the thing where they like chew it with their mandible? There's like a word for micturating. And micturating is pissing, right? Isn't that a word for pissing? But there's a word that sounds like that. That's like chewing and like processing your food with like your venom spit and then, spitting it out or something. To me, that's the poetic process. That's what I would teach my students in my classes if they ever. To me, I don't know. I'd almost rather teach like some kind of literary subject. I don't know that I'd really want to teach a workshop, to be honest. I think I'd rather teach like, some kind of like poetry of the, new. If I could teach a course in like New American poetry or something like that, that would probably be the most, interesting like field to just like talk about, or I don't know. I mean, I guess it's the goal if you're a writer, like, oh, I want to teach a workshop, like that's like the preferred thing as like an artist, but a lot of, I mean, actually probably every poetry teacher I've had, it's like the workshop is like part lecture. It's like part you're learning about some kind of specific subject, some famous poet or whatever it is. There's some kind of like companion where you're reading other people's poems. It's not just like all the student work. In Henri Cole's class, we had to memorize a poem. That was an assignment. We had to memorize a poem from the anthology, and we had to do a presentation on one of the poets in the book to the class and just teach them about. I did Mark Strand. I didn't really know any better. I didn't know anything about poetry, really. I mean, other than like classic stuff. I knew stuff about like Keats and fucking Hart Crane and shit, but I really didn't know anything about. I didn't know who John Ashbery was or any of these people, really. Like, I probably know who Sylvia fucking Plath was, or like maybe like Yusef Komanyaka or something, but I knew who Amiri Baraka was. But like, I did not know who J.D. McClatchy was, or somebody like that, or Robert Pinsky. It's like, who fucking cares? I don't know. Maybe I could try to get back into that stuff. I don't know why people like it. Like, why do people like J.D. McClatchy? Not that I've ever read it. I'm just sort of picking that name out of the air as like sort of just like some kind of chancellor of the Academy of American Poets type person. From that anthology, W.D. Snodgrass. There's a lot of poets that are just like so fucking boring that like just get a lot of fucking. You find their books everywhere, all over the country. Most of the most boring poets, their books are everywhere. There's just nothing. I mean, even, uh, the only name I can think of is Carl Shapiro. I remember not hating Carl Shapiro that much. I thought I kind of liked Carl Shapiro. Um, there's a lot. There's like C.D. Wright. There's James Wright. There's Franz Wright. There's Charles Wright. There's D.A. Powell. These are all people that like I probably wouldn't read. I did read Derek Walcott a little bit, and I remember liking it, sort of. It's very like high flown. Like I think he taught at Columbia, and I read Mark Strand a little bit. I'd probably like to look at it again. It was kind of boring. He had some good stuff occasionally. He had this poem about blowing up Manhattan that I thought was pretty good. Whatever the hell that poem's called. But it's just like you found Mark Strand books every fucking place. You go into any fucking used bookstore in the country and probably find a Mark Strand book. I think one of the first poetry books I remember buying when like trying to start a collection was Auden, the Collected of Auden. But it was like an early collected. It was only like up till like 1950 or something. I don't even know, 45 or something. It wasn't like a real collected. I'm probably going to get off pretty soon. What time is it? Yeah, I'll get off at 2 a.m. It's bedtime. Come to see us at Dear Mama tomorrow. Um, but that's what you think poetry is. You think like, oh, Robert Pinsky, like I need to read this. I need to like figure out what the hell's going on, and uh this is important. This guy's at the Geraldine R. Dodge Poetry Festival, and I think he was probably even a poet laureate or something. Which, he's probably not one of the more interesting ones. I don't know. I haven't really read Robert Pinsky, like, in the last decade. But he's like, widely fucking published and respected and known, and he's like an authority on fucking poetry, like in American culture. It's like, fucking why? Because he writes in like fucking meter or something? Because he's some academic fucking charlatan? Billy Collins, of course. I wouldn't go near that shit with a fucking 10-foot pole. Fuck Billy Collins. I never liked it. I never liked it. I'm just trying to conjure out. I mean, Robert Lau is one of the ones that I still probably like a little bit. Like, I still think I like Robert Lau a little bit. I like his kind of off the cuff later, his notebooks and his imitations and his like sonnet things are very like slapdash or like dashed off or something in a way that I kind of like. But there's still like he's still like using form, and it's more interesting because he's not totally up tight. He's not a totally being tight assed about every little fucking ground of syllable, every little inch of syllable, but it's still there. It's still the power's still there. It just kind of flows a little better. It's just more interesting. It's more rich with, I don't know, information. I guess I'm into information, really. I'm into data and the poetry. Who else do I need to talk shit about? I won't even get into Robert Bly. I'll spare everybody Robert Bly. That'll be a whole different broadcast. We'll do a whole unit on Robert Bly. It's a whole thing. He's not really a part of what I'm talking about. It's just like there's these kind of imminent kind of like personages, Mark Doty. It's like, how do they get there? How do you get into that echelon? What the fuck even is it? These are the people that do the book festivals all over the country, or they're on FSG or something. I was looking at Hannah Sullivan, who's a British poet, has a book out from FSG that's sort of recent. I like her work. She has that book, 3 Poems, and it kind of has a similar quality where I'm talking about, where it's like it has a formalness, but it's also kind of like she's influenced. I think she spent time in New York and San Francisco. She writes about that a lot, among other places, and so you can kind of feel that influence in the work. And it's a little it's a little bit more casual than those British poets can be. So, like, they're very tense about every fucking little, and a lot of times it's just to the detriment of the piece. I think that they don't really say anything, or it's just like it's so fucking I don't know. Maybe it's just brain rot. Nobody knows how to read anymore. Well, that was something that like those interviews, and maybe I'll close with this. Is those interviews with that Matt Gazda guy? He's a tutor. Like he teaches kids and stuff, and so he's just talking about like it's true. A lot of these young kids like they don't know how to read, and a lot of that poetry, like it's predicated on like the prime strength of it is like it's like these convoluted metaphors that are hard to kind of like get around, get your mind around. But that's the point in a way. It's like it's meant to be kind of like you gotta stand on your tippy toes and reach to just like, and it's just out of reach. It's still just out of reach. You can't quite reach it. It's just outside your grasp. And I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at some of those writers again and just see what the hell they're actually doing, and maybe they are more brilliant than I realized. Maybe Philip. Who's that guy from Detroit? I can't even think of his fucking name. Philip something. Not Philip Wright. Not Philip Lopat. In any case, they're all fucking hacks. And come out tomorrow night to see some real fucking poetry. We'll have guitar. I'm not really sure how that's gonna go, but we'll see. It's just a big improvisation, everybody. It's just a big roll of the dice, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It was nice doing it last time when nobody was there. We're filming it for the archive. It's really just for the archive. The people that want to see it will see it, and they will learn from it, and they'll scrape it. They'll lick the bowl. They'll get everything they can out of it. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Future generations, college programs will learn about it. Anyway, watch tomorrow night live streaming. We'll live stream the gig. You don't even have to come. I don't know. It's more about like being intellectual background musings for the cognoscenti studying in this, Columbia University cappuccino fucking bar. They're all caffeinated and thinking, and so let's just throw some language out for them to chew on and think about, and ambient kind of food for thought. If they're there, they probably won't even be there, but we'll see what happens. And then Saturday at Caffeine Underground, we're going to save this fucking venue. We're saving this venue on Saturday. Look at me. Look what's happening to my face. Oh my god. It's just getting older, I guess. Your body fucking crazy shit happens. 40 is not bad, to be honest. 40 is pretty good lifespan. I mean, I obviously I'm only halfway, but 40's not bad. I guess I'm just kind of like wallowing in the bathwater of my 40th birthday. And just like, oh god. I really am sitting in it like, Jesus Christ. If I could turn back time. Yeah, so anyway, there's always more literary gossip and chit chat to talk about, even though I'm pretty out of the loop. I'm like a high school principal. I'm just trying to chaperone my little events and keep these kids out of trouble. Keep these fucking kids from, you know, disrupting the class and being fucking throwing outbursts, behaving themselves. So I've got to steer the ship. It's not always easy to do that. There's a lot of people on board. So I've got to look at the big picture and just keep things rolling along. So thank you guys for watching, and God bless you. You know, I mean, the political thing has been kind of just, there, but I think they even understood, like, wait a minute, we're getting so much backlash from this, we're crashing the stock market, maybe we should just chill for a second, not fuck anything up for a few days. Let me just go into a K-hole and play fucking Diablo 3 or whatever. Play Quake 2. Apparently Elon Musk was a big Quake 2 fan. I guess that's the one thing we have in common. I too was a Quake 2 fan when I was you know, an incel. Not really. I mean, everybody's an incel in high school for the most part. You know, unless you're really cool or in band or something, which I was not either. I was well, okay, that's something that Matt Gazda was talking about in his interview. He's like how he got to New York and then he found that in New York, the scene, they just sort of recreated these high school social structures, right? Like he moved out of his hometown to get away from these kind of high school social structures. And then he found among Dime Square, it's just sort of they recreate these same kind of high school social structures. And with poetry, it's the same thing. With all of it, it's all just fucking same. Whatever it is, theater, it's all just high school. Politics, Trump, stand up comedy, it's all fucking high school. And who's hot, who's cool, who's not. And the thing is, I really didn't hang out with anybody in high school. I guess I did my senior year. My senior year was sort of my dazed and confused American Graffiti year of just like driving around, hanging out in parking lots, hanging out at Staub's house. But that was sort of like a nerd group. Those kids were all like good at science and math and shit. Even though they were football players, they were all like scientists and they were really cared about that. And so they thought I was like this kind of smart, funny little entertainer kid. And but they were smart kids, so it was like, but they had friends that were girls. So you go to Staub's house and the ratio was pretty good. It'd be just like half girls, half guys. It's like, oh, this is not bad. Why not? Why not hang out with these guys? Why not drive around on Friday night for no fucking reason, and then drive to Staub's house and just go inside and just sit in the living room? He had this giant fucking living room. It was all about fucking Staub's house. Jesus Christ. It's so lame and wretched. Because it wasn't like art, artistic, drug addict, psychedelic kids. They were all on the football team and they were all giant. I mean, they were way bigger than me. They were all, 200 pounds in high school. But there were girls there, so I was like, okay, I'll hang out here. Staub's house, whatever. It's like fucking Dazed and Confused. Better than fucking hanging out in a parking lot, I guess. Or I don't know. I was sort of at the whim of whoever was driving around. I didn't really drive around that much. I just kind of rode. I'd get in the passenger seat, and that's what you did in high school. You just rode around in cars. You go to Target, you go to the parking lot in front of the school, you'd park there, you just stand in the parking lot with the other kids, hanging out. I didn't really understand how to smoke weed and like jam and shit with other people in that way. I wanted to be around. I don't know. I don't know. In any case, why the fuck did I start talking about Stobbs' house? That's something I need to write about. I know people are interested in my youth as a white male in America. Going to Stobbs' house. Like American Graffiti. Jesus Christ, you get. I mean, American Graffiti is a haunting movie because the whole nation was on the precipice of that moment. It wasn't just those characters. You know, it's like right after that is like they kind of go headlong into the '60s, and so it's hard to believe there was a moment where it was that kind of fresh faced and innocent or something. And it, you know, that is like the ultimate kind of like in the prime of youth, senior year high school kind of metaphor or whatever. The peak of boomerdom, 1962, before Kennedy got shot, and Vietnam. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I'm constantly thinking about high school as like a subject. It seems like everybody's got to write kind of like a high school movie or a coming of age movie or something. It just that just seems like something that uh, everybody's got one of those in them. It's nostalgia. It's writing about a time period. I mean, especially now, 2025, looking back on the 90s or whatever, the late 90s, early 2000s. For some reason, people are hungry to revisit that, like that Y2K movie or whatever. Millennial nostalgia cycle incoming. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Have a beautiful evening. Come out tomorrow night to Dear Mama, and I'll try to live stream soon. Well, I'll be on tomorrow and Friday and Saturday, so I'll try to make it like this for people. All right. Thank you for watching, and have a great night. Have a blessed sleep. Get some rest. You night people. I like the fact that people watch at night, but get some rest, everybody. Thank you for watching.